Alive.
Okay.
We are live. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on BDTVTT. I'm Hilary De Freitas, the marketing mom, and with me this morning is
Bernadette Lee, and our special guest is Kate Buck. All right. So in the month of April, we are discussing hidden frictions in your digital marketing campaigns. Business owners demand strategies from their marketing teams. These strategies create, or should I say, may create roadblocks between you and your customers. And this is online as well as offline strategies. Sometimes too many clicks can be a simple roadblock. So hidden frictions in digital marketing strategies, your digital marketing strategy is more than just social media, it's more than just your message, and it's more than just your ads campaign. We cannot discuss all the necessary parts for a customer-centric marketing strategy in one session. All the discussions are saved in our Facebook group, Business Development, BDTVTT. We'll share the link with you below. Today we have our special guest, and she's going to reveal for you why a content marketing plan is at the core of your strategy, a successful content strategy. Each week, we hope to answer the same questions. However, we develop a winning content plan, elements of a successful content plan.
So as Bernie said, our special guest, Kate Buck Jr. She's a social media consultant and strategist. Very has been instrumental in my own training as a social media consultant. She runs a consulting agency out in Austin, Texas, with her business partner, Jesse Jameson. They have worked with some top names in internet marketing throughout the US and even internationally as well, right, Kate? Right. She is also the co-founder of Social Media Manager Pro, which is a training program for social media marketing professionals and also those just wanting to get a better understanding of social media and how to implement it yourself. All right. The courses have trained more than 30,000 students. I myself included in one of those. All right. In addition to speaking and leading interactive marketing conferences, conducting training events, Kate has also hosted widely popular social events, networking events that have kind of taken off and been kind of like those, what you call like the cutting edge. They lay the foundation for a lot of social networking events. All right. Kate is passionate about training and developing social media managers and teams in the most effective strategies of online marketing and social tools. And at the heart of that is the content strategy, which she's going to delve into today. All right. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that program, the social media program, we've also placed a link to that in the description below so that you could learn more about that as well. All right. So thank you, Kate. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
You're most welcome.
And I thank you also for appearing with us today, especially on your successful conference that you had last night.
Thank you. Yeah. I was sharing with the ladies before we went live, you guys, that I had a webinar last night and it did very well. It was very successful. And so I'm a little bit tired this morning because the team was all up very late and kind of scrambling, and we still are this morning. My Slacks are going off, my emails, my everything right now, because we're struggling right now to accommodate, which actually is kind of what we're talking about, because
it's a good problem.
It's a good problem. It's a good problem to have, for sure. So do you want me to just, are you guys going to ask me the questions, or do you want me to just
first off, like in terms of your background and where you see content fitting, because I know this is a big part of social strategy, all right?
Yeah.
It's driven by content. So first off, where does content marketing fit into the sales funnel? Right. And for those who aren't aware of what a sales funnel is, if you could just give a brief, description of that as well.
Sure. Well, when you're trying to sell anything online, you need what's called a sales funnel. And that's basically, you might have seen it before. It looks like a funnel because what's happening is somebody doesn't know about you, or they're out, I don't know your company exists, they're not a customer yet, or they're not even maybe a fan or a follower. And so taking a person from there, from not even knowing who you are, all the way down to actually making a purchase and being a customer of yours, or maybe even coming back and making multiple purchases, we call that a funnel. And the reason is because it's really wide at the top. There's a lot of people at the top. And as you talk to them more and more, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So the number of people gets smaller because people decide that maybe they're not ready to purchase right now, or maybe they decide to go with a competitor instead, or maybe your marketing wasn't, you weren't on top of your game, with your marketing, or, maybe something like there's external factors like the economy right now, and they, maybe they decide not to make a purchase. But in any case, you going from awareness, where somebody now knows that you exist, through the process of making a decision and considering the other options, all the way down to actually swiping their credit card, you lose people along the way. We sure wish that every person who knew about us was also spending their money with us, but it just doesn't logically happen that way. And that's part of the whole capitalist market. There's lots of different options, and the competitiveness and all of that is very healthy, and it's a good thing. So if we apply that model or that concept, which is true in any business, right? It's true when you're walking around, let's say a shopping mall, there's multiple options, and you see a store, and you go in the store, and this is not true just of online business. This is true of all business. And you make a decision whether to purchase or not. Maybe you see the store across the way, and now you go over there. So now you're aware, you've considered the options, and you make a decision to buy or not buy, and then your shopping day is over. If we apply that model to the internet, which we must, because it is true of all businesses, then we have to first figure out all the only way we're not a store where they can't walk in and they can't touch things and look at them. And so what we have to use is what we're talking about today, which is content. So it's like, where does content fit in the funnel is kind of a loaded question, because content is a word that it's a huge word. It means a lot of different things, but really all we have to use to help people make those decisions, to make them be aware, to show them the options, to tell them the features and benefits is different types of content. So you actually do have content throughout the funnel, everywhere throughout the funnel, but knowing what types of content to put at what place in the funnel is what matters. So in other words, in the beginning, when you're just making people aware of who you are, you might have very broad type content. You might even use what we call engagement content, which is just something that is not even about your product or service, but just makes them laugh, or is inspirational. You see a lot of inspirational quotes on social media. Well, that's a piece of content that is designed to create a connection between you and your potential customer that doesn't even know that you exist, but they do want to be inspired. So we use inspirational content like a quote or even a meme to kind of make people laugh, a joke or something, because that starts to develop a relationship. It's an icebreaker. It's like when you go into the party, you don't start going into all the details first. What you do first is you maybe tell a joke, or maybe say something smart or thought-provoking. And then all of a sudden now you've piqued people's interest, and they're now talking, now they're like, oh, she's interesting. She said something, oh, that's funny. I want to continue to engage with and to have a conversation with this person. And that's what we're looking for in the funnel is at every stage, Now they want to continue the conversation. So now it's like we can go to step 2. And this might be where you share something. If we use that party analysis, this might be where you share something else about yourself. Maybe that you used to live in a certain part of the world or a certain country or something, and now you're deepening that connection. Oh, you used to live there, or oh, you've traveled to there. Oh, that's interesting. I spent some time, in whatever, and the conversation starts to deepen and you get to know each other better. Well,
so as you go down the funnel, you're going down the funnel, you're getting closer and closer to your message versus just being, well, I guess I don't want to use the word general, but very broad terms of your messaging.
You're right. So now how that applies to content marketing is this is the place where you might say, oh, so you are interested? Cool. Well, I have, this program, and here, here's a little bit about it. Here's a little bit about it. And then you can gauge the interest of them, then. And some people are going to go away at that point and not be interested. And then just briefly, you have the third stage where someone might start asking questions. Oh, I am interested in that. Can you tell me how much it costs? Can you tell me how long will I have access to it for? Can you tell me, has it worked for any other people? And so that type of content that you would put in the stage 3 is like a testimonial from a client. Or maybe you would have a webinar where you explain the features and benefits, or maybe you would do a demo where you could show them, what it actually looked like. Because that's the point where they're touching and feeling it and they're going, oh, well, how much does this cost? And do I, and so the content that you create, from the icebreaker to the get to know each other to the I'm ready to make a buying decision, that it's all content, but it's knowing what type of content. You wouldn't at that last stage all of a sudden throw up an inspirational quote, because it would seem weird and it could throw them off. But you answer, now you're answering their questions. And yes, so each place we're deepening the connection, we're sharing more to the people who have said that they want to know more, and we're responding to their questions and their interests until we get them all the way to the place where they're ready to make that buying decision. And even after that, honestly, the funnel continues, and the type of content that you show them, even after, to reassure them that they've made a good decision and to continue to develop your relationship with them now as a customer in the customer journey, it still actually continues on after that. But in terms of the sales cycle, we tend to think that, at the point of decision, when somebody makes the sale and becomes a customer, our marketing journey on the front end has completed itself.
It has completed. So in your experience, what type of mistakes then do you see businesses make? And probably like looking at local business, I know you've done some local business marketing as well. And in our economy, a lot of companies, a lot of businesses, because of what's going on now, they are forced online. So it's a completely, I don't want to say it's a completely new world. It's a new world from another vantage point, right? So what are some of the pitfalls that they want to avoid so that they don't, because right now it's crunch time, okay, for them. They're shifting and they want to know what not to do in terms of how I'm putting out my content out there.
What happens is everyone skips the first and the second part and they go straight to that third part because you're in desperation and you need to sell and you need to bring in those customers. So you keep going, hi, I make coffee mugs, 15% off today. And then your next post is, look at these beautiful coffee mugs. They're 50, they're on sale today. And would you like to buy my coffee mugs? And that's your only post. And you miss the other things. Now, unfortunately, marketing is just like dating, just like getting to know anybody. It does take a little bit of time. Sometimes it can happen super fast. And that's when the customer is ready and knowing on their end that they need the solution, and all they're doing is they're at that third point and they're comparing the options and they want to buy. And if you're there with the message, great. But if this is your first time out and you're trying to bring people in and lure them in, right? And get to know them a little bit and have them trust you, you have to start with those other two types of content that I mentioned in the beginning. You have to start with some of the inspirational things and make them want to get to know you, because the reason that people go on the internet, at least on social media, right, is not because they're looking to buy products and services. They're looking to escape these times. And so you as a business, it's not like I go on Facebook and I'm like, oh, I wonder what businesses are there that want to sell me something today. Nobody's thinking that. They're going there because they want to see pictures from their friends, and they want to check on their families, and they want to engage in a thoughtful topic in a group. I'm in this great group called Quarantine Karaoke, where I can just go on and watch people make fools of themselves singing karaoke on Facebook right now. Why? Because I want to be entertained. I want to laugh. I want to be inspired. I want to learn something. So those are your three main types of content: inspirational, educational, and entertaining. And bonus if you can do all three. So for instance, I have a local business right now. I have several local businesses that are specialty retail. In other words, they're like a dancewear store. One is a scuba shop, right? Who's buying dancewear clothes right now? Even the dance schools are closed. So kids aren't even going to dance class while they're doing it virtually right now. Or scuba diving, you can't unless you have a place to scuba dive inside your house, and if so, you probably have your own scuba gear already, so you're not buying it. So what can these businesses do right now? Well, I'm going to take a cue from someone that I've learned from very early on, named Gary Vaynerchuk, who has a book that's called Jab, oops, I'm doing it the wrong hand. Jab, 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 right hook. What that means is when I explain to you the first two stages, those are the jabs. And then the right hook is when you put the offer in front. That's the right hook is the buy my coffee mug. So now is a time to be jabbing. Okay. And it might be hard to hear that, but now is the time to be doing the jabs, which is you need to be putting out thoughtful, informative, friendly content. So my dancewear store, I'm asking them to go online and to share tips for dancers, right? Because they're a dancewear store. Share how to stay healthy, how to exercise when you're stuck at home, how to take care of your dancewear, how to wash it, how to sew your shoes, exercise videos, workout videos, connecting other people. Like, can they pull in different experts in different types of dance to come online and maybe teach some classes? These things aren't necessarily saying buy my dancewear, buy my dancewear, buy my dancewear right now, but it is providing value, and it's deepening the connection and the relationship with the customers online. So the number one biggest tip is that when you start doing this, local businesses tend to post nothing at all except promotions and sales and calls to action to buy immediately. And that's basically like walking up to a stranger that you don't even know and asking them to marry you. You would never do that. You would never do that. You wouldn't go straight for that sale. Or you being the person at a party that walks in, and instead of telling a funny joke and getting to know people and then maybe telling them what you do, that you walk into a party and say, hi, my name is Kate. I sell social media services. Do you want to buy social media services? Do you want to buy social media? Do you want to buy social media? No one responds. Everybody goes, ew, gross. And what's funny to me about this saying that it's a mistake is that we inherently know that that's a mistake in real life, right? Like in my real day-to-day life, when I just gave you those examples, inherently you understand that that would be weird. Why would you do that? No one would do that. But when it comes to marketing our business, somehow we think that it's different. And so I love that, Hillary, that you said a minute ago, it's seemingly new to people, but it's really not all that new. It's just translating what we already know about how to do these things in real life, learning how to do them online. And sometimes when we make the translation, we forget some of these things. And so yeah, that's the biggest mistake.
Well, as I said in the intro, is that the business owners and the marketing managers look at all of that and they see that as a waste of time. So every time you're like, well, how are you nurturing your leads? How are you collecting your names? They're not interested in that. They just want the cash register to go bing, 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 bing.
Mm-hmm.
But in the online world, you cannot get the bing, bing, bing on your e-commerce website if you don't do the nurturing, if you don't do the entertain, if you don't do the give the value content, you know.
There are ways to hack that, so to speak, and to go straight for the sale. But that is number one, using a paid approach, which means you're running Facebook ads. So when you're talking about developing a relationship with somebody, it's going to cost you one of two things. It will either cost you time or money. You get to pick. So if you want to do it for free and do what we call organic marketing, which means you're making images and posting on social, you're not buying an advertisement. This is where it takes time, because you don't know that person that's scrolling their news feed, right? Scroll. The person, you don't know, where they are in their journey. They're just scrolling and whatever. But when you place an advertisement, you are paying to put your message in front of someone that you know for sure is somewhere in the middle of step 2, towards the end of step 2, right? Or they're in step 3 already. And you can do that through precise targeting and interests, etc. when you do paid advertising. But again, you have to be ready to spend the money to do that, and that's a benefit of doing that. And so you have a business. I understand that everyone that's coming to me right now and asking me, what do I do? And I'm like, well, maybe when you came to me 5 years ago and I said that we should start building our audience, maybe you should have listened to me then. But since we don't have a time machine and we can't go back, we can only start now. Here's what we can do, but you can't wait for moments of crisis. This reminds me before, when people said, why do I need a website? Now everybody knows they need a website. And then they said, why do I need a Facebook page, or why do I need email? And it's like, now everybody's like, oh my gosh, I need all of these things. And I'll never have to sell marketing services ever again, because everyone knows that they need to be able to communicate on the internet. But when you place an advertisement, you can skip some of those years, right? You didn't do the work to nurture and build the relationships up until now. So now you have to pay for it, because you wasted the time. You don't have the time. Okay, so now you have to spend the money. And so, those are your two options at this point, in this moment of time.
That is correct. That's perfect. Then the next question is, someone is asking, what percentage then, let's say I want to do both of them. I want to do the nurturing, I want to do the jab, the give value content, and I want to get the sales now. So what kind of ratio shall I look at in terms of doing the ad and doing the nurturing at the same time?
Well, absolutely. You should be doing both. They support they complement each other very, very well. That you should be doing both. Organically speaking, you're getting people for free, you're building a relationship, you're not having to pay for them. But also, while you're doing that, you're building your audience, and then the ad is helping you to bring in the sales now. So lots of clients start with a stronger ad campaign in the beginning to help build their audience and bring in sales faster in the beginning, while they're building their organic underneath. Also, because someone who looks at an ad is and maybe on the fence about it, the next thing they go do is look at your page and see, are you legitimate? And so your organic efforts will prove to the ads people that you are legitimate. And over time, this will start to build, and then you can start to pull back a little bit here, because you will have some organic, and eventually they sort of, do this little dance. So absolutely, you should be doing both. And I could go on and on. Organic helps you learn what your audience does like, so that when you are spending money, you spend it smartly. So in other words, if I put a post up organic and everybody loves it, then I know I didn't spend any money to do that, and I know I've hit a sweet spot. Now maybe I will use that content, that piece of content, and I will make an advertisement out of it, versus taking a piece of content that you've never posted before and making an advertisement, and what if people don't respond to it, you know? So you should be doing both at the same time. One will help you to bring in sales now, and one will help you to bring in sales over the long term so that you can start spending a little bit less on advertising. But if you need money now, you know, if you need clients now, start with a hybrid approach is what I would call it.
Yes, perfect. Again, going back to the managing team and the business owner, and I know this might be for you a 10-year-old question, because in Trinidad we still, I mean,
it's okay. I have come from the future to bring you marketing advice.
Benny? Oh boy. Did you lose her?
I can hear you, but I can't hear her.
You can
She's
hear.
frozen.
Oh boy. Oh gosh. All right. Well, I think two of the things, I don't know what point she was going to bring. Hello, Benny?
yeah,
You were frozen.
Lose me 100%.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
man.
100%.
All right.
So
I repeat.
Yes.
I repeat. For our traditional marketing companies, we do a lot of flyers, newspapers, magazines, television. I have a $10,000 budget campaign that I've already done all the images for, and I take that and I spend, okay, so I've spent all my money on the part of the creation part. So now I have to take that, and the newspaper and the TV doesn't make sense anymore because the store's not open for sales. I don't have a delivery. So then what do I do with that campaign?
Bring it online.
Right. And then, but the thing is, what I'm getting at is that the testing isn't there, because you're saying that we use the organic to help get to the sweet spot.
Well, I mean, if that creative was working, you have tested it. I mean, if it was working on radio, you do have to adjust it. Even online, on the different platforms, different content works or looks different. There's different formats. You know, Hillary and I, when we were working together, this is one of the things that we talked about, is like you take a piece of content like this Facebook Live. When we're done with this, it's a video and it exists. It's a big piece of content. It's a long form piece of content. But now if you want to market this topic, which you already know is a hit or whatever, you know, this is a point that people want to learn about. If you want to market this on Twitter versus Instagram versus Facebook versus YouTube, there you have to morph it and adjust it. But the core concept is that we're having this conversation about content marketing. And so what you need to know is what is specific for each platform. You know, on Instagram, are you know, what are the requirements? What works best? What are the best practices? And this is where it makes sense to partner with somebody who is experienced in online marketing, because boom, they already know the answer because they're already doing it for their client. Or you can go out and Google and research and learn it all for yourself. But you know, when I have a client, he has a podcast. When that podcast is done, I have to put it on LinkedIn. I put it on YouTube. I put it on our blog. I put it everywhere, but everywhere it looks just a little bit different, right? Everywhere I have to adjust my strategy slightly, but it's still based on that same piece of content. Sometimes it's a horizontal video that's 3 minutes. Sometimes it's a vertical video that's 15 seconds. I have to know what those are on each of the platforms. And so again, yes, you either need to, if you had something that was working on radio or TV or magazine or whatever, those things will still work online. You just have to learn how to translate them to the platform that you're going to use.
And in a sense, you just answered the question of how does the content look differently? And it's also the back end stuff that nobody realizes, that is the reason why the podcast is doing so well.
This is what our webinar was about last night. This is exactly what it was, is that it's not enough to just have a podcast. You need a marketing engine behind it, so that on the podcast, people have a place to go to put their email, to get notified, or that you have a social media that they can subscribe to get future notifications, and that, you know, you have You have ways to stay in contact. This is the attention economy, and never more has it been more than this moment right now about capturing the attention, but not just capturing it. You got to keep it over time, and people are fickle. This is why they say in marketing, consistency is key. And so every week at a certain time, you know, people are programmed. I remember when I was a kid and the show Friends came out, and everybody was talking about it. All my friends were watching it. But, you know, TV shows, they come on at the same time every day, you know, every week at the same time, because people are trained. And I didn't get to watch Friends because I went to ballet, and I tried, but I could never, you know, or you DVR it and watch it later. It doesn't really work that way. TV show, you know, I remember 60 Minutes on Sundays. That was what my dad, and we sat down and we watched every Sunday. There was a TV show. People get in those routines. Could you imagine if then 1 week 60 Minutes wasn't on? What's my dad doing? Well, he would be on the remote flipping the channels, looking for something else to watch. And what if that then is an opportunity and now some new show captures his attention? Now he's got a new show. So consistency is key. You first have to capture the attention, but then the hard part is keeping the attention. That's why we do the icebreaker. We talked about in section 1, right? In the first stage, that's the funny joke or the meme or the inspirational. That's capturing their attention, right? Getting it. But now you got to keep it, and you got to keep that conversation going. And there's a whole thought process behind that. So, you know, unfortunately, online marketing is, I will say, in a sense, easy because anybody can do it. It's accessible, meaning it's about clicking and making, you know, all of the tools are there, and a lot of them are low cost and all of that, but it is complicated. It's not easy in the sense of you need to know the strategies that are working. Otherwise, if you just focus on one thing, like getting attention, but not keeping it, you'll be wasting a lot of money churning people because they'll be seeing you, but then they go away. So get good at getting people to see you, and then keep that going, and then try to keep them to deepen the conversation and keep that going. And you kind of have all 3 stages happening at the same, you know, be happening at the same time. So it is a little bit like juggling. I see Hillary shaking her head. We know this. It's a little bit like juggling because you have people in all these different places. You have people ready to buy, you know, and so it takes a little bit of understanding of, okay, well, what happens on social media? Can I get their email address? Now I can continue, or a podcast, right? Now I can continue the conversation. Okay, well, I've continued the conversation. Now, when is the right time to make an offer to ask them to actually come and buy? Because ultimately, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have people buy stuff from you. The goal is to just make sure that when you ask, they're ready to buy, and you didn't do it too soon and lose them, or you didn't do it too late because you were afraid to ask, which is another problem that some people have, but most business owners are jumping the gun and not the other way around.
Which is why, in a sense, we need to have the content plan, and you need to have the content at different levels, because the customer is in charge. We know that the customer has the power. So therefore, you're doing the value content, you're doing the fun content, but that little link is always there saying, this is how to connect with me.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
The buying is very important. Yes,
absolutely. You read this content. We gave you value. If you liked this and you want to see more, subscribe for more content is a great call to action. And then also we use a little thing called retargeting, which means I don't even actually have to ask for the sale. I can use a little ad once somebody has watched my video or clicked on my post or read it, where I can go back to them, let's say like the next day, and in an advertisement say, hey, I noticed you watched my video. You are, you have questions about content marketing. Well, guess what? It just so happens that I know everything there is to know about content marketing. Maybe we should talk, right? And so, for instance, I had a webinar last night, right? And so now people watch the webinar. That's a piece of content. Well, I'm going to be sending them emails to say, hey, did you like the content? Did you want to watch it again? Did you get notes and everything? And then I'm going to say, hey, we made an offer. You might be interested in that. Take a look at it, because I gave content and value first. I'm also going to be doing retargeting ads to say, hey, what did you think of the webinar? Did you enjoy it? Do you want to watch it again? Did you get good notes? By the way, you know, we made an offer. Maybe check it out again. And I'm going to continue to follow up with them for the next week or so, because content first, for sure, provide value, and then sell to them.
And then sell to them after. Yep.
You guys know this.
Wonderful.
You guys all know this.
That was a great wrap-up.
I'm talking to you guys. I see you. I know I'm not seeing the people. I'm like, I just.
Yeah.
You guys know. I'm sure you're happy that I'm here to reinforce what you've already been telling people.
Yes,
Pretty
much. Yes. And we're very thankful for your time. I know it's a busy time right now for you. So thank you again. Bernie, you just want to wrap up with closing next week, actually, Kate brought up, you know, what we're going to be talking about next week, which is the ad side. Next week, we have another guest, Matt Barron, who's going to be joining us yes.
Yay, Maddie B. Oh, good. You guys are in for a treat. And this is exactly how it should go. Content first, ads after, and this is exactly how Maddie B and I would work together. So you guys think about it that way. Lots of good content. And so between now and next week, when you have Maddie B for ads, go work on your content so that you and apply it this week or what, and then next week listen to Maddie B and apply what he says. So great. Perfect.
Exactly.
You guys are so smart.
All right. Thanks
and in
again,
a sense,
everyone.
one of the other points we're trying to highlight is the fact that Kate is an expert in content and social media, but she also realizes that she cannot and should not be doing it all because we are one person, one brain. We should focus on dig deep in what you do well. So
yes, and so if you're a business owner and you make great coffee mugs, since that has been our example this whole time, I do love this coffee mug. It's ballerinas, and you guys, just so you know, that's what I did in my previous life as I was a dancer. But anyways, if you are excellent at making coffee mugs, then you should become better and better, make the best coffee mug ever. You don't also need to become the best marketer ever. You partner with people. You're an expert, they're an expert, and have people around to help you. That's a really great point, Bernadette. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yes. Thank you all, and see you on our next
Thank you
video.
again. Don't forget to subscribe, and the link to the group will be in the description as well. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to wherever you're seeing all of these things. And thank you again, Kate. Have a great one, everybody.
Have a good sleep.